Call it a vineyard, call it a winery, call it a classy locale to say cheers, but deep down it's still down home. Sip from a wine glass all you want, but around here a John Deere still goes chugging along. At Gregory Vineyards, town and country are paired together like red wine and chocolate. People from Raleigh and Cary ride behind a tractor with glasses of wine in their hands. This is still a farm run by a farmer who looks like a farmer and talks like a farmer.
You know, I grew up with a farm background, grew up growing tobacco, got out of it back in the early 90s and kind of diversified off from the farm, and this was a good opportunity to bring me back to the farm.
What Lane Gregory farms these days on his family land in Johnston County is grapes. Muscadine grapes. Grapes native to North Carolina. Grapes for making bottles of red and white and dry and sweet.
All these rolling acres of grapevines were once sprouting with tobacco. This is North Carolina after all, and tobacco has long been North Carolina's signature crop. But a changing marketplace can change the landscape, and North Carolina may yet be drinking to a new signature crop.
The number of wineries in North Carolina has more than quadrupled since 2001, with more than 100 now sprinkled across the state.
How'd you learn to make wine?
I Googled it. No, I'm kidding.
Truth is, he took some basic winemaking classes at James Sprunt Community College, and he sought counsel from experienced winemakers. Now he leads wine drinkers through the process, speaking with ease about total acidity and residual sugar and yeast enzymes. Unlike French or California wine, Muscadine wine isn't fussy. It doesn't need time in a bottle to get better.
Muscadine wine is a comfort wine. It's a good chilling wine. It's a good sipping wine.
His wife Teresa always admired the muscadine vines that grew at her parents' home in Morganton. Some years ago, she started planting them along her own driveway with hopes of planting an idea too.
I told Lane he'd get to see muscadines every time he left, every time he came home. That I thought they would be pretty out here.
The Gregorys ran a restaurant out here for 20 years, called it Lane's Seafood and Steakhouse. They raised catfish in those ponds, fried them up and served them up to customers. To enhance the scenery for their guests, they converted the tobacco fields into pastures.
We had buffaloes and llamas and chickens and goats and donkeys and horses and cows, and we sold all that and put in a vineyard.
That was in 2009. 2 years later, they opened the winery in their old restaurant, which overlooks 12 acres of vineyards that are harvested every September. On a Sunday afternoon, we found couples in the wine tasting room, drinking it all in.
Yeah, I like all of them so far. I hadn't found one I don't like yet.
For $5, you can sample all of the 7 varieties of wine, each with its own name and character. There's the Bald Eagle, a dry white, and the Lee Love, a sweet red. Chaudre Pegram and his wife Anita came from Sanford. They say the budding wine industry lends North Carolina a certain cachet.
Kind of surprised, but I'm also pretty happy about it because it gives us something to do. And I think it's good for North Carolina to have things like this going on.
And guests can go on and on about Gregory Vineyards.
Romantic, but comfortable. The scenery is great. The people are great. They are very friendly and welcoming, and I enjoy it. I feel like I could just hang out here all day.
Mitzi Green of Raleigh did, in fact, while away the afternoon here with a friend of hers. It's easy to do. You can walk hand in hand down to the pond with someone special. You can even say, I do out here. This vineyard is a regular setting for weddings, as evidenced by the white bows behind the tractor. Or you can just chill out with friends to sample the local color.
I have tried local wines. This is just the first time I've been to a winery.
And Heather Brown of Clayton vows this won't be her last. So here's a toast to a new crop of wine connoisseurs with Carolina accents.
And I'm not really a wine drinker, but I may become one now.
Love at first sip, down on the farm. For North Carolina Weekend, I'm Brian Mims.